What's up, everybody? Thank you for stopping by to visit the channel for this upcoming game preview. We are heading to Happy Valley, where I wish there was a whiteout, but I know it'll be there in spirit, as Ohio State heads to State College, Pennsylvania to take on the Nittany Lions of Penn State. Both teams went in opposite directions last week, as Ohio State took care of business against Nebraska, and Penn State suffered a loss to Indiana in overtime on the road. If you haven't done so already, if this is your first time visiting the channel, do me a favor and pound that subscribe button, click the notification bell and select all so you won't miss another video. Without further ado, let's take a look at the tail of the tape between the two teams. So as we're reviewing the advanced metrics between the two teams, Ohio State seems to have a stranglehold on their number one ranking in SP+. However, they did drop 4 spots to 6 in defensive SP+. Penn State dropped 2 spots from 6th to 8th in overall SP+, and their offense SP+, took a hit, dropping from 7th to 14th after their loss to Indiana last week. SP+ gives the Buckeyes a 72% win probability, and it lists them as a 10-point favorite, while the smart guys in Vegas opened this game with Ohio State as a 12.5-point favorite. So if you're a Penn State fan looking at this box score and you want to skip this, I will not be mad at you at all. However, for those of you who are gluttons for punishment, this box score tells you everything you need to know. This game was at your doorstep. It knocked on your door repeatedly, it rang the doorbell, it sent smoke signals, the Metal Gear Solid codec was ringing. I could go on, but I'm going to stop. Last year, I was hypercritical of Sean Clifford, but I thought Kurt Soraka put him in some situations where he was successful last Saturday. He had a 68% completion percentage, which was the highest since the Purdue game last year. He had a 55% passing success rate, which was tied for 3rd with Graham Mertz among Big Ten quarterbacks this week. Now, he did have the 2 interceptions that were crucial, the 1 screen pass that wasn't executed properly, and the interception at the shadow of the end zone where the ball just sailed on him. But after that, Penn State was able to march right down the field. They got a scoring opportunity. They bring in the Wildcat quarterback, Threadick, and ends up fumbling inside the 10. But in less than a minute, the defense, they do their job. They got the ball back, and then you miss a 23-yard field goal. So 2 scoring opportunities in less than a minute, and you come away with no points. Penn State in the game had a total of 9 scoring opportunities, and they averaged a total of 3.1 points per opportunity. Anytime that you're averaging a field goal when you have scoring opportunities and the other team is averaging close to a touchdown per scoring opportunity, you're literally asking the other team to beat you. Now, I do not think Penn State defensively played a terrible game. They held Indiana to 3.6 yards per play, and they gave up 17 points where they made the Hoosiers earn it. The 3 drives they had, it was a 62-yard drive early in the game, a 44-yard field goal drive, and a 75-yard touchdown drive to send the game in overtime. The other 19 points came from Indiana having great field position. If you're a Penn State fan, you can't place 100% of the blame on the defense. When the defense is giving up 3.6 yards per play, I don't care what type of math you're doing, that should not equal 36 points. Overall, that's a bad beat for Penn State. Gus Johnson was not kidding when he said Nebraska ran the football down Ohio State's throat on their first drive. In fact, the Huskers played their first few drives with an intensity we have not seen from them since 2008. Then a good team like Ohio State capitalized on Nebraska's mistakes, and the game got ugly in a hurry. For all the talk about Trevor Lawrence being a shoo-in for the Heisman Trophy, Justin Fields was fantastic in his first game. In non-garbage time snaps, he had an 85% overall passing success rate and averaged 13 yards per pass attempt. That is difficult to do against air, but to have that kind of game after having not played since December of last year, that is nothing short of impressive. By the way, it was not against a group of 5 team that you use just for a tune-up game and just, for a scrimmage. Also, Ohio State's offensive line, they averaged 3.1 line yards per carry. The running game averaged 5.57 yards per carry when you remove sacks from the equation. and 46% of their carries gained at least 4 yards or more. Anytime your line is responsible for over 3 line yards per carry, your offensive line is doing their job and they're getting the push up front. Now, a few of my friends blew up my group message, and they were talking about Ohio State's defense during the first few drives. I didn't understand the concern because it is game 1. And we've seen a bunch of teams struggle on defense during the first few weeks. And if we're being real, it is expected to see the defense be behind the offense without any spring camp and limited practice time. Not to mention, Ohio State had to replace 3 guys on their defensive line, including Chase Young, who dominated everyone that was put in front of him, 2 linebackers, and 3 defensive backs, 2 of which went in the first round in Jeff Okudah and Damon Arnett. There were a lot of reshuffling of players at multiple positions. And if you were expecting them to come out and pitch a shutout, I think you were asking for way too much. Now, on the flip side, I have to give Nebraska credit for moving the football the way they did. They had a 54% overall success rate. When you remove sacks from the yards per play equation, they ran for 6.4. And if you remembered my mention of Ohio State's offensive line getting a push, the Huskers' offensive line was responsible for 3.03 line yards in the game. Now, the Ohio State defensive line, for that to happen to them is a little bit concerning. But like I said before, it's just game 1. And I thought Nebraska did a great job of staying ahead of schedule. However, when Ohio State knocked them off schedule, their drives either stalled, as you can see from Nebraska's 18% success rate on passing downs, or they would have a crippling turnover. And for Ohio State to give up 17 points with Nebraska moving the football the way they did, that type of thing doesn't happen often. But if that does happen for you, you got to take the dub when you can get it. For me, the keys to the game are as follows. For Ohio State, they got to maintain balance. I don't know if having Justin Fields putting the ball in the air 40 times and having him run design quarterback runs is going to be conducive to them winning the game. I think Trey Sermon and Master Teague will have to run the ball better, and they are running behind one of the best offensive lines in the country. If they're able to get that balance between Teague and Sermon, you got Fields attacking through the air, it has the potential of being a long night for just about anybody. For Penn State, they got to tackle in space, and they got to limit Ohio State scoring opportunities. Now, I think Penn State's going to have to install the game plan Clemson used against them, and that was to give Ohio State every yard between the 40-yard line on each end. And when Ohio State gets closer to that end zone, they'll do everything they can to shrink the field further and keep Ohio State out that end zone. Penn State's loss to Indiana took the air out of a preseason top 10 matchup. For Penn State to lose a winnable game last week, you must wonder where their head is at for this one. You do not want to turn one loss into 2. I won't be surprised to see Penn State offensive coordinator Kurt Soraka call some design quarterback runs for Sean Clifford, and I would expect them to take some shots downfield, going away from Ohio State's best defensive back in Shaun Wade. For Ohio State, there are some doubters who feel their defense is not up to par from last year. I think their defense will have to come into the game with a chip on their shoulder after being beat up, and they will play better. Another item to note, Justin Fields cannot hold on the ball long. Penn State will get after him, and they got the horses to do it. And if they force Fields into making bad throws, this game is going to get uncomfortable for them. The health of Chris Olave is something to look for as well. In the end, I think this game is going to be physical. It is going to be tight by halftime. Penn State is going to do everything they can to make this game uncomfortable. And it is in Happy Valley, which they have had some classic battles. In the end, I think Ohio State will be too much. I think their depth is going to wear Penn State down in the second half. I got the Bucks winning a close one by a score of 34-27. And that'll be it for another game preview this week. So let me know what your thoughts are in the game in the comment section below. Give me your score prediction and also tell me why your respective team is going to win the game. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you would, please give the video a like. And if you love college football as much as I do, Hit the subscribe button if you want to stay updated with the latest previews and the occasional highlights. And as always, thank you for taking your time to visit the channel, and thanks for watching.